Before we start, all of us here at the Play Out podcast team were saddened by the passing of Alec Lumb at the Boro game on Saturday. Our thoughts are with his family and friends at this time. Play Out Pompey and rest in peace, Alec.
Hi there, and welcome to the latest episode of the Play Out podcast with myself, Scott McLachlan. And I'm again delighted to say I'm joined by great mates and fellow Pompey fans to discuss Pompey's recent fortunes. And this week, I'm joined by Reece Percival. How are you, Reece?
I'm very well, Scott. How are you, mate?
Good to see you again. Yeah, and also I'm joined by Phil Sands. How are you, mate?
Very well, thank you very much.
Good. Yeah, just the three of us tonight. So we're going to have to chip in. Yeah, we're all going to have to shoulder a bit more of the vocal load this evening. So, I'm sure we'll be good. We're covering, obviously, 3.5 games because we're just going to gloss over Wickham and not really bother about that. But I'm sure we're all very chipper after the last two results, and we'll discuss those in detail in a minute. So, unfortunately, you have to mention, as it's one of the games that was included since our last pod, and that was Wickham away on the Friday night, and our brief entry and exit for the FA Cup this year. It was pretty poor, wasn't it, guys? I mean, it's not much to talk about the game because I suppose we could have gone 1-0 up quite early with Sadie's back heel, but after that we did absolutely nothing. And I guess, as it turns out, a few people got a few minutes, like Williams. So the only thing I'm going to say about it is that I'm really annoyed at the football club because basically we went into that game and just literally threw it because we cobbled together a side and said to Wickham, there you go, have a decent stab at getting into round 4, which I think is pretty poor because as a football club, we should be competitive in every match we take the field in. And I really think that it was so disappointing performance.
I was going to say, I do agree with to a certain extent, and I don't want to dig players out in particular, but we had a bit of a laugh because I think it was the person that seemed to prove your point the most was Atkinson, who went from being Maldini one week to like something barely resembling a footballer. Like, well, hang on a minute, what's happened here? This guy was the Messiah a minute ago, and now look at him. He's a naughty boy. But
he's a naughty boy, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well, I suppose the jury's still out on camera. He had a half decent game, but wasn't really passing the ball forward. It was a 3 in the midfield, wasn't it, with an anchor? So perhaps it was a formation we wanted to try out. Maybe we'll use that away from home to try and nick some points. But yeah, it was a non-event really mostly.
I think sure. I totally get why people might have been a bit peeved at it, but you've got to be looking at the season, and the whole aim is to stay up and to put out if he put Lang or put Bishop or put Murphy and somebody got injured, he would have got absolutely roasted. But go, what the hell are you doing? Why are you playing your star players like in such an important game? Like was it Paul last year?
Paul against Chesterfield, yeah.
Chesterfield, and it's just like if that had happened now, we know the squad is bare. We know we don't have much strength in depth. So I'm not quite sure what people were thinking. It is a poor situation to be in, but actually I think he had no choice. He did the right thing and just got it out of the way. And he probably said, guys, stay competitive, but nothing silly. Go from there. And yeah, it wasn't good to watch, but I'm glad. I don't think there'd be many fans going, I wish we'd beaten them and stayed in and we'd have a cut run. I think we just need to get out of it and concentrate on the league.
I think when the end of the season comes, whether we stay up, whether we go down or whatever we do, I don't think anyone's going to remember the Wickham game. No one's going to look back and go, oh yeah, the Wickham game.
Yeah, no, that's far from it, Phil. So before we get on to more exasperation, Reece, and the Blackburn game, I thought I'd do something different this week as well. It's a shame there's not more of us on, but I don't know if you guys have got any way of writing anything down or typing anything into a laptop. Well, we're going to play a little game which I've unashamedly nicked from Colin Murray, and it's a footballer anagram quiz.
So we weren't warned about this.
Oh, well, I thought I'd spring this on you because I don't want your answers straight away. I want you to give me the answers at the end of the pod if you can think about it. So it's something to tax your brains. And obviously this is something that our listener can join in with as well. We know you're out there, Andy. And so I just thought it'd be something a bit fun. Maybe we can do this every pod or every other pod or something. So there are 3 Pompey players, obviously, quite recent history. I've gone for early Premiership years, which gives you a narrow time frame for these players to have played with us. So I'll obviously give you the 3 anagrams, and then we'll reveal who they are at the end of the pod. So the first one is Redhead Gin Myths. Okay, Redhead Gin Myths.
I hope nobody's typing that into a search engine, Mr. Sands.
No.
I hope that doesn't work. I don't think it will. So the second one is Lash Oak Ship. Lash Oak Ship.
And these are a first name and a surname.
Yes, absolutely, the full name. And the third one is Track Beer Grip.
Towards brother.
Yeah, could be. So I'll say them once more time: Redhead Gin Myths, Lash Oak Ship, and Track Beer Grip.
Oh, I've got Track Beer Grip. I've got that one.
Oh, okay, good. That's exciting.
I'm not usually very good at these, but I've got that one.
Terrible at
them. Don't say anything.
No,
We're going to do it at the end of the pod so that people can play along. Right, cool. Reece, we talked about exasperation. So we've got to go for you with Blackburn, haven't we? The 3-0 loss.
Do you know what? I'm not disappointed at the performance, actually, because I thought we were all right for the first half. I thought we competed. Yes, they had a couple of chances early on, and then Bishop had hit the bar, but I'm just livid with the officials and the officiating and the levels. It was just utterly appalling. I mean the foul on Lang. I mean, anywhere else on the pitch, that's a penalty. I mean, for the opposition manager to come out and say, yeah, that should have been a pen, just shows you how much it was a pen. But even then, when the ball came in, their defender, now this is dark arts, a little pull on the little shoulder, and he just twisted Bishop round just as he was about to head it, and he just took all the power off. And yeah, he just couldn't get enough power on the header and went up the other end and scored. But there was another one as well where we put a great cross into Bishop, and the guy just shoved him in the chest, and it put him off. But nothing was given, and thing is, goals change games. It was 1-1. We could have got 1-1, and I think we would have could have got a point out of that. But then we just crumbled. I mean, they brought a couple of subs on, dummied Ogilvie, and to be fair, the second goal, fair play. That was a pretty good shot and finish. You can't complain about that. So yeah, I thought that could have been a game, especially considering they got beat by Coventry at Ewood Park 2-0 the other day. I thought we could have got something from that, but it was just one of those games where, again, officiating wasn't going our way. So consigned to another away defeat in the league. Although I did hear the other day that actually, although we've only won one away in the league, I think there's about 9 or 10 teams in the league who have only won once away. I was like,
wow.
It's something like, it might not be 10, but it's something like that. So although our away form is pretty poor, I didn't think this was up there with Coventry, Stoke and Derby and Cardiff, but it's one that got away due to absolutely crap refereeing.
Yeah, so it's Farai Halam, Farai Halam, who was the official, and I think I watched the 4-0 written all over it after the game, and Tom said that he's one of these referees that's been fast tracked through the system, has not played very many.
That's never a good sign.
No, and he's not officiated professionally, as he's been at very many games. Has been pushed up to the championship level. So, but it was the second goal, wasn't it? That we had the really good chance. So Lang burst through, nicked it past the goalkeeper. Then the goalkeeper clattered him. So then the referee played on. Fair enough, he played on. Okay. Seconds later, literally 2 or 3 seconds later, as the ball comes across, Bishop is hauled to the floor as he's just about to put the ball in the back of the net, and then it's kicked off the line, and they go, whilst 2 players are on the floor, they go up the other end and score. So, and if you've got seasoned pro journalists like Andy Moon going, it was just the most blatant penalty he's ever seen, then you can't be in any doubt that there was a massive mistake there. Reece, you were gonna give us an update on the Watford
Yeah,
friend of yours.
I work with one of the refs. I'm not going to name him, but yeah, I had a chat with him last week just to kind of understand, get his point of view of what went on. I have to say he wasn't the referee at the or the lino at the end where the penalty was given, and yeah, he basically said I think the ref didn't give it. The lino thought he did give it, but apparently in the corner of Vicarage Road, there's a Vodafone black spot, and they lost comms, and that's why the ref had to go over to the lino to have a chat. But he said lino gave it, but he put it this way: he didn't get very much praise or thanks afterwards for his decision making. So yeah, that was kind of his summary of that. But he was at the end when it all kicked off at the end, and he just didn't want to say anything about that. So fair enough.
Okay, so he claims he couldn't hear, so that's why the decision was deferred to the assistant.
Well, no, that's why they went over to talk to each other. The ref was still going to give it. He also said, I think ref guidance is that as a linesman, you're kind of allowed to look along the line at the top of the penalty area and make decisions, but they shouldn't be making decisions along the lines that run parallel to the sidelines, because for the bloody obvious reason you can't see.
No, well, I think we're none the wiser then, I suppose. Well, I did get an update from my friend Andy George, who claims that the reason Barr went over and lost his rag with the Pompey fans is because the Pompey fans were going to him all through the game, and Andy himself reckons he started it off. So that seems a very, very trivial thing to lose your rag over, doesn't it, Phil?
Yeah, I've never lost my rag at anyone making animal noises at me.
I think that's probably the least offensive thing I've ever heard shouted at a player at a football match, to be honest. So I'm not sure why he really got upset about that. So we lost 3 goals in 15 minutes, and so the game quickly went away from us at Blackburn. But like you say, Reece, it was. We probably could have got a result if we'd managed to either get a penalty or Bishop had finished off that chance, and who knows what could have happened in the last 30 minutes. Really, really disappointing. So but that seems to be our luck and our fate on the road at the moment this season. So let's hope we can turn it around against West Brom, turn our fortunes around. So Phil, you've got the rather happier job of apologies, it's me with Boro, isn't it? So I do apologise. I've subbed in from Tim, who was supposed to do Boro and unfortunately can't make it. And arguably our best performance of the season. It was quite close at times. Boro are a good side, and I thought deservedly took the lead through Latelath. Again, Pack, diving in, in an area where he really, really shouldn't, because I think you've probably got some thoughts on this, Phil. We'll get them from you in a minute, but he made a terrible mistake to dive in, and we were left 3-on-2, I think, at the back, and the ball was slotted through to Latelath to score, and I think that really knocked our confidence first half. There was a massive lull in our pressing and our performance. Luckily, though, Boro didn't capitalise and get a second. Otherwise, I think the game might have got away from us. But then we came out the second half and really, 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 had a good go at Boro, and probably the second half was probably our best half of football for quite some time, I think. We had a few early chances, but then Matt Ritchie made a brilliant run across the line and darted in behind, and Potts managed to find him for a through ball, and Ritchie took it with his right and then with his left lifted it over the goalkeeper into the corner. It was a really, really good goal. And then at that point I had to leave the game because my son had a birthday party, so I didn't actually see the rest of the game because of obviously the sad events of earlier on in the afternoon, and we give our thoughts and prayers to Mr. Lumb's family, and it was a great send-off yesterday. But because the game was so delayed, I had to leave early because my son had a birthday party. So I didn't actually see the rest of the game live, but obviously I saw the Ritchie winner on the video afterwards when I got home, and it was a cracking finish, And I think you guys can help me out a bit more here, because obviously I didn't see it live, but when did Swanson come on, and who did he come on for? Because obviously he was key in the winning goal.
He went off for a right. Hang on, no, he came on.
He came into midfield, didn't he?
Yeah,
Oh, right. So he came into midfield in centre midfield.
No, he's sort of playing on the. I thought he was playing on the right.
Yeah, I thought he was, and he came inside, and I guess just with energy, and just nipped the ball off him. But yeah, he came on for Williams.
Right. Okay. So he came on at right back then, and
Yeah, I'm
made.
talking crap.
Sorry, Phil.
It won't be the first time. I promise you, it won't be the last.
Yeah, so he must have come on at right back, but he made that great tackle in midfield, robbed the ball, and then obviously moved it on for the pass to go to Ritchie, who didn't have an awful lot to aim at, but he hit a really good low flat strike, which came in off the post, and then obviously we hung on to win. Yes, yeah, so Swanson came off from Williams in the first minute, and the goal was literally a minute afterwards. Yeah. So impact sub Swanson there did a great job.
He did, but I mean, also I think I heard it got a big deflection as well. So I'm not sure which way, whether it was going in or not. But yeah,
I think it would have been a flick. I looked at it a couple of times, and I thought it did take a little nick, which he may have hit the post, and whether it would have gone in or not, I don't know. But I think the nick obviously put it the right side of the post for it to go in the back of the net. So, but I mean, the strike was true. It was a really good strike. Goalkeeper wasn't getting anywhere near it, and it went in the back of the net. But the whole performance was so strong, and obviously we backed that up last night against Stoke with another really strong performance.
It's worth pointing out it was Ritchie's first and second goals for Portsmouth at Fratton Park. So. That was a great night for him, personally, I would say, and you could tell the pride. What I did particularly like though was when his teammates were sort of urging him to do the big sort of fist pump at the Fratton end, and I think he was interviewed after that. He refused to do it, and there was words to the effect of "We're in the bottom three, we weren't celebrating anything," and that's that sort of winner's mentality I like.
Absolutely, that's class.
So, do you think he'll do it now? We're not in the bottom three, at least for the moment. Who knows?
He doesn't look like the kind of person that would do that. He doesn't smile on the pitch. He's not a smiler.
No,
he barks a lot.
Oh yes.
He means business, doesn't he? You can tell that with his. He's not here just to be loved by the fans or be the home boy. He is here for business, which is really, really good, great attitude to see.
I remember thinking back to the first one of these pods that I took part in, and one of the first things I said was, "Why on earth did we buy Ritchie?" At the time, I was like, what is the point in that transfer? Well, now I know.
You won't be the first person on this pod to say something and then a few months later regret it, Phil. And you certainly won't be the last. If we're criticising players and then they come good, then let's carry on doing it because, that benefits the team, doesn't it? The Hayden had his first start as well, obviously coming in a week or two earlier. What do we make of his impact playing alongside Potts?
I thought it was a bit harsh on Dazelle. To be honest, it's one of those things where he's clearly played at a higher level than Dazelle and is probably all round, once he's up to full fitness, once he's up to speed, he's probably a better player than Dazelle. But it's very harsh to drop. But that we're in the results business, aren't we? And if Messina thinks he's the best person for the job, I think he's very neat and tidy. He's unflappable. He uses the ball sensibly. But then those are all things you could probably say about Dazelle. So. I'd say judge him in a couple of games' time. I would say it's probably the best time to. But yeah, early thoughts. Looks decent.
He's a big boy, isn't he? He's got some bulk about him, and that strength in midfield is crucial. And like you say, it is a little bit harsh on Dazelle, but having three players to having contention for those two spots, and maybe Pack when we finally feel that right sided centre back position is going to be like having gold dust, especially between now and the end of February. We're playing almost twice a week, so there's going to have to be some rotation and some players rested at least for a half or a game.
I've got to say I feel much more comfortable when we're taking Hayden off and bringing Dazelle on than when we're taking Dazelle off and bringing Moxon or Kamara on. I think that's the key thing.
Yeah, absolutely. We're at that point where we should have been in the summer, to be honest, really. Yeah. With the signing of Atkinson and the signing of Hayden, those are. I mean, obviously they couldn't have known what was going to happen to Boat. They couldn't have known that the Shaughnessy would break down literally week 2 of the season and be out for 3 or 4 months. But if they're the quality of players that we should be trying to graft onto the side, because those are the ones as we hopefully we hopefully see over the next few weeks, these are the players that are going to really make us a mid-table Championship side and not, scrapping for, too close to the relegation places. So we'll see what happens with that. But I've been very impressed with him, and he does make the odd forward run as well. He doesn't sit between the centre backs all the time. He does actually try and break lines and get beyond the back four occasionally. So that's good to see as well.
Although the one thing we do have to be obviously wary about is that at the end of the season he's going back to Newcastle and he won't be coming back here.
Yeah, well, no,
because he's reportedly on 50 grand a week and having signed a 6.5 year contract. So,
well, perhaps another season loan. Who knows? If we're in the Championship still, maybe he'll come back for another season if we're splitting the wages. But very encouraging. And Atkinson and Pack looked pretty good together as well, didn't they? Apart from obviously Pack diving in and making a bit of a wreck of it. So I think Phil, you said something about Pack's mindset in that position.
Yeah, so it's sort of a couple of things about Pack. The first one is it's absolutely noticeable that when you watch Pack play alongside Atkinson, who you would definitely call a proper centre half, he looks relatively comfortable because he doesn't have the responsibility of being the one that's bringing the back four through the game, who's leading the line, who's telling when to push out, when to do this, when to do that. And then you see him when he plays alongside Towler, and Towler still has to be sort of shepherded through a game, and you can't shepherd him through a game when you're not playing in your natural position. And I think then going on to the sort of thing that he did, if he was playing as a centre midfielder and he missed that tackle, he'd have got away with it because there'd have been a covering defender. But his mindset is that of a centre midfielder. I mean, and you can't blame him for that because that's how he's played the majority of his career. And I think he's gone in there with the mindset of, if I don't make this, someone's going to cover me. And as it was, there was no cover. If a defender, a proper centre-back goes and makes that tackle, if he's not getting the ball, he's certainly getting the man and picking up a yellow. That'd be the mindset, I would say, of a central defender. If I feel it's necessary to stop that man, I'm stopping him. And if it means picking up a yellow, so be it.
The frustrating thing was, though, he didn't need to do it there. It was on the halfway line or pretty much close to, and he just got sold a dummy, didn't he? And the guy just nicked it. I mean, he broke through, but he did pass it, didn't he, as well? But we were centre back down, weren't we? So
yeah, and we were right back down as well because Williams was up the field, having joined in the attack, hadn't he?
Yeah. So I mean, I've been quite critical of Pack, and I don't think there's much proper full season in him. But I mean, he does make mistakes. But as you say, he does. I think we forget actually what he's doing and why we're playing him, and he does. It's going to be tough for him. It's going to be tough for anybody playing out of position and also expecting to behave in a different way. But he has made mistakes. But from a team perspective, we're not in a bad place, are we?
No, and it's a selfless act, really, isn't it? Because he could sulk and go, "Well, I'm not getting I'm not getting picked in centre midfield."
Yeah.
So what's the point be? But he's taken on that role, and I think you'd still get the level of commitment you get with him wherever you played him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I don't think his level of commitment's ever at question. It's his decision making that's always, unfortunately, has let him down at times. But
speaking of decision making, what did we make of his new haircut? Because that's a bold statement. The French crop, very interesting.
From what I can see, Phil, it is very popular with the youth at the moment.
He's in his 30s.
Well, good luck to the fella if he wants to try and think he's 21, 22 again. Then fair enough. But no, it's that kind of bowl and shaving at the sides and the back cut is quite popular at the moment. I have seen it on a number of young men, and he's obviously emulating that. You completely thrown me there, Phil. I've completely forgotten what I was going to say at that point. But no, that's it. I remember now. I know it's all right. I remember now. It was Middlesbrough are a huge scalp, aren't they? Really? I mean, they are one of the teams who will probably be in the top 6 at the end of the season. So for us to beat them at home and beat them well as well, it is a huge scalp for us. And
I think a word of. A couple of words of praise for Conor Ogilvie in that game as well, because he was up against Doak, who's obviously on loan from Liverpool to Middlesbrough, thought of as being probably the best right winger in the Championship, and he absolutely kept him out of the game. And I think that was very much to Ogilvie's credit.
Yeah, Doak scored a belter on Tuesday. You seen it?
No, I haven't. No.
Yeah, left foot curler into the top corner. Very, very nice goal. So yeah.
But yeah, Ogilvie kept him quiet, which I thought was no mean feat.
So we go on to our second win in a row this season, which is probably the first time I think we've done it. So Phil, Stoke City, all yours.
I'm going to get all prosaic again.
Oh, lovely. I'm looking forward to this.
Sit back.
So Pompey hosted Stoke City under the lights of Fratton Park. The Potters came into the game unbeaten in 4, including draws with West Brom and Burnley and a win over Sunderland. So after changing manager, bringing in Mark Robins, they were certainly in not necessarily a rich vein of a form, but one of the more formed teams in the bottom half of the division. But Pompey also boasted an unbeaten home run of 6 matches, and we were looking for our 4th home victory on the bounce. So cause for optimism, particularly after, as you say, the victory over Middlesbrough. So stage was set for a competitive match with the golden prize of 18th in the league at stake. And Blues lined up unchanged from the 2-1 victory over Middlesbrough. Stoke missing Tom Cannon, who tormented us at the Bet365 Stadium with his 4 goals. So the 6-1 defeat that proved to be the death knell of Will Norris's Pompey career. And Cannon's now been recalled to Leicester and gone off to Sheffield United for, I think it's £10 million. So obviously big miss for Sheffield United. The game started brightly, action at both ends, but it was the home team that struck first. Lovely cross from Conor Ogilvie, which seemed destined for the head of Callum Lang until he was violently shoved in the back by Stoke left back Josh Wilson-Esbrand. Sorry, did I say violently shoved in the back? What I meant to say was barely touched by Josh Wilson-Esbrand, if that. We were saying before, if you watch it with the commentary, if you watch it on Sky with the commentary, and you hear the commentator shout, "He's pushed him in the back," then it looks like a penalty. But if you watch it with no sound at all, it's clearly not a penalty. Jamie was informing us all of that decision from his VAR couch, I think, wasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
From the Fratton end, though, clearly you can see him arch, and it looked an absolute blatant penalty to me. I mean, it might not have been the shove that Bishop got the other week, but it was definitely very subtle, dark arts.
Well, I think Lang was sort of. I think he was mindful that it was Oscar nominations the following day, and so he'd made a last minute bid for the Best Actor award, and Josh Smith, the referee, with his bucket of popcorn in hand, seized the moment to enjoy the performance and point to the spot. So up stepped the Magic Man Colby Bishop, who dispatched an unstoppable strike into the top corner. It's quite unusual with Bishop because he normally hits his penalties low, but this one was right into the roof of the net. So the ground was rocking, and Blues sort of seized control of the game. And then it was only 4 minutes later we doubled our lead. Dangerous long ball from Schmidt, which caused Stoke defender Ben Wilmot to panic. He let the ball bounce, and Lang nipped in between Wilmot and the advancing keeper, sent a looping header into an unguarded net. Chants of "We want 6" echoed around the ground. Pompey were on top at this point. We dominated without creating any clear-cut chances. But then out of the blue, Stoke were back in the game. Wilson-Esbrand, with revenge on his mind, swung a delightful cross to the far post. Ogilvie was sort of guilty of ball watching, allowing Wilmot to steal in and power a header past Schmidt, atoning for his error at the other end of the pitch. So it's 2-1 at the break. Despite Pompey's dominance, there was a feeling that the next goal would be vital. It proved to be. There's another great corner from Freddie Potts. Found Conor Ogilvie at the back post. So, Ogilvie has a knack of finding himself in the right place at the right time for set pieces, and he stabbed the ball home from close range. I think that really sort of knocked the fight out of Stoke. I think we sort of pretty much the second half saw the game out quite professionally, or using dark arts, as Mark Robins would like to describe it. Jordan Williams left the pitch for standing ovation, which I thought was deserved man of the match, with a performance as good as any right back. in recent memory. And I thought in the game, honourable mention should go to the unflappable Schmidt in goal, who really shows the difference in class between himself and Norris. So you can see why we've invested in him. Pack was solid and dominating in defence because, again, he got to play alongside Atkinson for 90 minutes, which really helped. And we talked previously about Anonymous Potts. I think he's morphing into Tenacious Potts now. He seems to get better and better every week.
Tenacious P.
Yes, Tenacious P. Yes. So yeah, all in all, a good, I thought it was a very professional performance. I think no one played badly. I thought there were players that were a little bit off, out of sorts. I thought Josh Murphy wasn't at his best, which was a shame because he absolutely had their fullback on toast, but just couldn't make the right decision which was quite frustrating. I think my only complaint of the game was, I thought at 3-1 up with half an hour to go, and Ritchie in particular was looking knackered from covering so much ground. I thought it was a sort of perfect opportunity for Messinio to maybe give Harvey Blair half an hour and get some sort of minutes into his feet, or maybe bring Christian Sadie on in the middle. But he wanted to see it out with the players on the pitch, which if they all recover in their ice baths and cryo chambers by Saturday, then maybe we get a chance of a point at West Brom.
Maybe. Phil, so thanks for that, Phil. That's brilliant. Reece, Dark Arts, what on earth is Robins on about? Eh?
I honestly don't have a clue because, well, let's start. What do we mean by dark arts? And for me, it's always been the little cheeky things that the ref doesn't see to put you off your game. It's what we learned from the Europeans when we started to get competitive, and the Italians. And to me, it's just underhand tactics of trying to gain an advantage without the ref seeing. But there was none of that going on. I mean, the tackle by Devlin. I mean, what a tackle! Absolute got the ball. I mean, that summed up the game. We were in their face. They could not hack it. I think it was, as you said earlier, Scott. I think he had to say something to kind of give his players a kind of a bit of a G up and everything. But they got battered. Absolutely got battered. But they got battered fairly, and they just could not live with the kind of pressing. I mean, you see a team come to Fratton Park and want to play it out the back, you're kind of rubbing your hands these days because you just, although we didn't actually score from one of those positions, we were pushing them back and we were really on the front foot. And how Ritchie and Lang maintain their energy levels, I don't know. But I don't know about you guys, but I was baffled by the comments because I didn't think that was dark arts at all. That was just a full-on, in-your-face performance, competitive, combative, and they just couldn't live with it. End of.
I thought the only two things you could complain about was obviously the penalty. And Ogilvie managed to get in his usual... He usually managed at least once in a game to hurl himself to the ground for no apparent reason. But apart from that, like you say, Reece, it's the sly stuff. And there was none of that at all. Yeah. And to use an often used cliche, you've got to earn the right to play football. And you've got to earn your... So, you know... You've got to go in there, you've got to win battles, you've got to stand up to that, and then you can start playing the ball. You can't just go in there and expect teams to let you spray it around. You've got to earn the right to do that, and Stoke just weren't up for the challenge.
Well, I think he also ignored the fact that his midfielder Seko was very, very lucky, so that he should have got a yellow card for literally 2 minutes after Pat got a yellow card. He should have got a yellow card for hauling the player. I think it was Lang. Did him a treat and went past him, and he hauled him to the floor, literally grabbed him by the shoulders and hauled him to the floor when we were going to break. No yellow card. 5 minutes into the second half, he does the same thing again and gets a yellow card. So he could easily have been sent off for two bookable challenges. So I think they were doing just exactly the same thing, stopping the play when it got away from them by hauling players back or tripping them up or grabbing them or whatever. So like I said to you guys before we started, I don't think that was more of a complaint about the way Pompey were playing. I think it was more a complaint about his team and impressing on them that, as you rightly say, Phil, you've got to compete. You've got to make sure you win your physical battles and your duels and then have the right to play. And as we saw, I think Stoke didn't do that. I mean, we did lose control of it for about 15, 20 minutes in the first half, where there was a lot of frustration where we weren't pressing. But I don't, without putting finishers on, as they call it these days, there's no way that the same front four can press for that 90 minutes. It would be impossible for, even younger players, and let alone the people the age of Ritchie, to do that. So I don't. I don't mind us dropping off as long as we can keep a low block and keep the ball out. But it did lead to their goal because we were conceding some corners because we were defending so low. It's manager gamesmanship, isn't it? He wasn't happy with his team and he thought he'd switch it on us, and we could just laugh it off because we got the 3 points off them and we're up to 18th, which is amazing. So something else I wanted to talk about as well is the new signings. So obviously we've capped Atkinson and Hayden, who again had an even more impressive night, I think, than he did on Saturday, because he managed to last quite a bit longer as well, I think, last night. So we've got the two Australians coming in, obviously, Waddingham and Matthews. I didn't know that Matthews was 6'5". I looked his profile up today. He's a big lad, isn't he?
He's got 20. Good touch, though.
Well, let's hope so. Let's hope the cliche is true. So I presume that we're buying them to put them into the first team squad, which, as we've seen with Blair and Kamara, can be quite a gamble. So are we going to make the same mistakes again?
I don't think we are. I think that the idea with them is that bearing in mind they're both under 21. I think the idea is with their long term side. They're both on 3.5. They're both going to be on 3.5 year deals, as far as I know. I think the idea is they're in the short term they're a win-win, really, because if it does turn out that they're good enough, they're not getting in the first team squad at the expense of anyone, because they're free hits essentially. But you're right, they're more ones for the future, I think. But who knows, if they come in and do a job, good news, everyone's happy.
Yeah, I looked at, there's a YouTube video of Waddingham's kind of finishes, and they were mostly the ball falls to him or comes to him and he slots it away. But I mean, there's got to be, fans will be questioning kind of fitness and things like that, which I don't think is a genuine thing. However, what I do think is a tough thing is that you're judging the players at the moment based on being in the A-League, where it's not the national sport in Australia, it's not as well supported. It's the players clearly aren't as good, so you're then going to be shoving them into front of 20,000 people looking to possibly perform. And I don't know whether they'll sink or swim or whether they'll do that, but you've got to quick. That's a big leap to get up to get into, go from without being too disrespectful, a non-league like Australia into the Championship, which, as we all know, is hugely competitive. So. Definitely two for the future. It'd be interesting to see how they get on. I mean, Farrell, in the game he did play, yes, he's injured. He looked really good up against one of the best wingers in the league. So once he got his feet, certainly in the second half, anyway. So yeah, you're not writing them off, but it's a big old leap, but. We like 6'5" defenders, don't we, and things. So who knows? We'll see. But
I've got a friend who lives in Brisbane and has been to see Brisbane Roar quite a few times. When we were linked with Waddingham, I said, "Oh, if you what do you think of this Thomas Waddingham?" And he said, he's the best player in the team by a mile, and he's a 19-year-old kid, which I think says a lot about the standard. And the fact that. The fact their chairman was cock a hoop that they're getting £200,000 for him sort of says a lot. But then if you're getting him for £200,000, I mean, there's very little risk involved in that.
Although
I think
didn't somebody say that Matthews was like 1.2 million or something?
Matthews is apparently the figure being quoted is 1.27 million. And before the thing with Scott was saying about it not being a sort of national game in Australia, I think they pumped a lot of money into the A-League originally because they wanted to get the World Cup and they wanted to make it they wanted to force it to be a televised sport, a big televised sport. And Australian sports fans they're strange people because they're only ever interested in any team when they're winning. The minute they're not winning, they're not interested. I think that happened with the A-League and it happened with the sort of the national team. So the standard there is just plummeted. But there are, by all accounts, a handful of players, of which the centre back, whose name I've completely forgotten now, Matthews. There is a handful of them who are supposed to be pretty good. I think the only one I can think of that's made it over here is Harry Suter, who we were linked with a few years back, who's playing over here. But gone are the days when we had the likes of Viduka and Kuhl and Bosnich and all of these players sort of playing over here, because those players just aren't there anymore.
No, It's interesting with spending 1.2 million allegedly on a player for the future, where you would have thought that if that sort of money is being splashed about, what would that buy us at championship quality? Are we looking at championship players and saying that they're too expensive, and we can't get anything even for 1.2 million? Is that the state of the English game at the moment?
I wonder whether it's whether it's not the fee, it's the wages, because the Aussie players are going to be on. Not saying they're going to be on pittances, but they're not going to be on big wages. And a £1.2 million player in this country is going to be on 25 grand a week. Don't see us spending 25 grand a week on a young English or Scottish player.
No, probably not. No, that's probably the right way to look at it. It's if we've got them a £3.5 million year contract and we're saving ourselves £500,000 over that period in wages, then I guess we got that to spend on the transfer fee, haven't we?
Yeah.
So do we think we're going to get another couple of players in before the end of January? Certainly we need. I mean, we're clearly hanging on for Poole and Shaughnessy to come back at the back.
Yeah.
What about up front? I mean, we clearly need a couple of reinforcements there, don't we?
I think, am I right in saying Messino said he's not looking to replace Bishop or get another striker in? Did he say that about a week ago? I thought he did.
He said that about 20 minutes before we signed one, I think, in Waddingham.
Well, that may be a kind of one that's kind of championship ready and things, which, because Waddingham's a bit younger, maybe not. But, I think Silvera's gone, so maybe you've got to think there's definitely an attacking option to maybe come in. We've got a defensive midfielder, left back. Surely they're the two, left back and maybe a wide player are probably the two that we would hope to get in, and then that would be 6 in the transfer window. And if they're the same quality of Atkinson and Hayden, I think we'll all be pretty happy, providing we don't have another relapse of the whole squad being injured.
I think there was being linked with a player from League Two quite heavily. The news generally tends to be spot on when they start running stories. There's a guy that I forget his name that can play anywhere across the front 4 positions that we're supposedly interested in. The Notts County guy, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah,
you see, I've done my research.
26, and I can't remember his name, but I saw him being linked. But I think Plymouth offered him $750,000 and turned it down. So maybe they're holding out for something else. But he's certainly banging them in. I mean, I think he's got something like 15 goals and 10 assists in 20 games or something like that. He's phenomenal.
Well, let's hope we get at least 1 or 2 more players in. I think, because we've seen the contributions that Atkinson and Hayden have given us, and the breathing space for a couple of players. Even though we probably think that Dazell's unlucky to lose out, at least it gives him a breather, and we can swap and move players around as and when we need them. So we've got 3 games before we do our next pod in a couple of weeks. We got West Brom away on Saturday, the rearranged Portsmouth versus Millwall game on the Tuesday. Let's hope the lights stay intact. And then the following Saturday again, we host Burnley. So what's your guys' hopes, predictions for those 3? Do you think we'll win away?
I'm going to West Brom, so
well, that's it then.
Yeah, that's it. 4-0 defeat. So I don't know. I mean, they can't play with that kind of intensity, but I mean, we're now a bit more solid at the back. We've definitely got a bit more quality in midfield. So, I mean, if we can get a performance in like Blackburn in the first half, I mean, I don't think they're doing too well at the moment. They're I think Tony Mowbray's back though, isn't he? So I think he this is his first game at the Hawthorns in about 14 and a half years, and I think I'm right in saying he's recovered from cancer as well. So it's going to be quite an emotional. Response or return, shall I say? So who knows? But yeah, I was just having a look
You're right in saying that they haven't done very well recently. They've won once in the last 6 games, drawn 3, lost 2. They're down to 7th, so they're out of the top 6. So Middlesbrough, Blackburn Rovers have leapfrogged them in the last couple of games. So, if it was at home, I'd say absolutely we can get 3 points. But our away form, Phil, is just dire at the moment, isn't it? We don't seem to have an answer to that.
No, you're right. I think the thing is that I think as we were saying earlier about the Blackburn game, I think the performance of the Blackburn games, it gives a Blackburn, even though the result wasn't what we'd hoped for, I think it gives us cause for a little bit of optimism. I'm going to go for a draw. I think we're going to pick up a draw at West Brom. Reece will be able to go home happy. Yeah,
doing a little dance.
He'll have had several beers, I'm sure, which would have made him happy anyway. Yeah, some points. So Millwall at home, win.
Yeah,
I say yes myself. Really, it should be compared. They're sliding like Derby. They're sliding down the table at a rapid rate. So they're another team we should be able to pick off at home.
If we play like we did against the last 2 games, yeah, you got to say that's going to be another win.
Yeah, cool. And then obviously Burnley at home.
That's going to
be delight. I think we probably would be delighted for anything out of the game. So if we're looking at draw, win, draw, that's 5 points, and that puts us on, I think, 31 points by the end of February, which is not bad. And if we look a little bit further ahead, go on, Phil.
I was going to say, I'd say if we get 4 points out of those 3 games, I would say that's not a bad return.
Not at all, no. But I mean, if we look into February, there's some interesting fixtures obviously coming up, which, if we keep our current form, we've got Burnley, as I said, on the 1st, and then we're off to Sheffield United, which again, a point would be brilliant up there. But we've got 3 very winnable games. Maybe QPR would be a bit tougher. They're on a really good run of form at the moment. But Portsmouth at home to Cardiff on Tuesday the 11th. I won't be able to make that, but I'll be cheering on from home. And then away to Oxford on the Saturday. I hope to get a ticket for that and go. And then the following Saturday on the 22nd at home to QPR. So if we get Burnley and Sheffield United out of the way, there's 3, I would argue, winnable games there. And we could be on 40 points by the end of February.
I'll say Cardiff's going to be a tough one because Cardiff have, I don't think they've been beaten their last 6 games, and they seem to have a knack of digging out results. So still think it's a winnable game, and we're still above them.
Yeah, well, we'll see how we go over the next couple of weeks. It might, we're very, very buoyant and very chirpy because we've won 2 games in a row. After the next 2 games, we could be really down in doom and gloom again. But before we end, lads, right? Let's do these anagrams. So I hope people have played along whilst you've been listening. So I'll remind you again. So first one was Redhead Gin Myths. The second one was Lash Oak Ship, and the last one, which you think you got, Phil, is Track Beer Grip.
I've got the last 2, Scott. I've got nowhere on Redhead Gin Myths.
Well, I'll let Reece go first then. What do you think?
I got the last 2 as well. I didn't get the first one. So
okay, well, I'll give you a quick clue about the first one. Only with us for 1 season, so that really should tip it off for you.
Teddy Sheringham.
No.
Bingo. Well done, Phil. Yeah.
So
you could do one each. So you do the second one, Reece. Since you've got that one. Shaka Hislop. Awesome. Well done. And Phil, do you want to round off the trio?
Well, to give him his correct name, Patrick Berger.
Oh, brilliant. Well, I'm really glad I did that because there's some interesting anagram sites on the web where you can put names in, but some of the nonsense they came out with, I had to trawl through for ages to try and find, sort of words that came out of the anagrams that actually made it a bit more of like an anagram rather than just a jumble of letters. So, I'm glad you got a couple of them. That's good. Well done. So thanks very much again for joining me this week, guys. Another enjoyable pod. I hope everyone enjoys it at home, and let's hope we can go to West Brom and get something and improve our away performances because we really need to start picking up points away from home. So thank you very much, guys. Have a very good evening.